My journey is taking me to Central and Eastern Europe to explore the phenomenal changes taking place in the wine world here. I'm in Romania, a country taking its first steps into modern winemaking. After more than 40 years, Romanian wine is shaking off the vestige of communism and getting ready to make its mark. Romania is a country making its first tentative steps into modern, clean winemaking, and in the past few years some real stars have started to emerge. I'm heading north of Bucharest to the winemaking region of Dealu Mare to track down a fantastic red wine made from the local grape variety Feteasca Negra. The Divino winery has been operating since 2000 and is part-run by Bogdan Costachiescu. He started his career in a state winery producing bulk wine, but today it's all about small scale and quality. I think Divino offers a real taste of the country's bright future. So you used to work for a large state-owned winery. What would you say is the main difference between working for a big state winery and working for yourself?
The main difference is you need to forget about old habits that focused on quantity. You have to switch to focus on quality.
And has it been easy?
No, I have to say it's not been easy to make quality wine, and what's more, to always make it that way. But it's very satisfying.
In fact, when I started doing the research before I came out here to Romania, I tasted loads of wines. And yours, your red, was one of my favorites because there was no oak. It was intense, fruity, full of personality. So this is Feteasca Negra.
Yeah, Feteasca Negra.
And that's a great variety, pretty tough to work with, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fairly difficult to work with because it's quite, well, capricious. Capricious in the vineyard, capricious in the cellar. It's an indigenous grape variety that's, how can I say, very important to us. Well, not just to us, but for the whole of Romania. And it's also a variety that needs some improvement.
In fact, your wine is just like cracked pepper, both on the nose and the palate. It's really, really good. It's a bit like Syrah, but a Syrah grown in Europe. I mean, in cooler regions like Hermitage and such like. There's an enormous amount of violet in it. It's intense, it's vibrant, and it's fresh. It's delicious. And thanks so much for helping me discover Feteasca Negra.
C'était mon plaisir.
Génial. How refreshing to track down a fantastic red wine from an indigenous grape variety, barely any oak at all. I want to see more of those, please. The next stop on my journey is to meet TV chef and broadcaster Cristi Borian. His passion is matching food and wine, and he's going to show me how to pair polenta cake, a real rustic staple of the Romanian diet, with a local wine made from the grape Feteasca Regala, and best of all, we're cooking al fresco.
Absolutely. What I'm going to do is cook some genuine Romanian polenta, which is called mamaliga, because polenta is the Italian word to it. And I have a pot of boiling water.
I've never ever made polenta from scratch.
Oh,
this is pretty exciting.
It is very easy. So let me start. First put some polenta into the pot.
That's boiling water.
Yeah, that's boiling water, and I have to stir. Can you please stir for me?
Polenta cake consists of layers of polenta, butter, and either goat or sheep's cheese. We're going to match this with Feteasca Regala.
Yes, this is genuine Romanian grape. This is a very nice wine. It's very floral. It has a nice flavor. It has a nice acidity, a very friendly acidity.
And it will go well with the cheese, I guess?
It will perfectly go to the cheese. This cheese is a local one. It's made in the village below, and it's a coupage of goat and sheep milk.
I think by far what works the best very often is to match like a local grape, a local
and
wine
local food.
with a local food, because that's they were brought up together.
Absolutely. So. This is the main rule. And then you can.
And then more cheese.
And then more cheese.
Yum.
You can actually take some. You can push your forks as well.
Well, it works perfectly. Because this is quite a fresh, acidic wine. And with all that cheese and all that texture, it's very, very refreshing. But it matches the saltiness of the cheese.
It stands up to the saltiness because of the acidity, because of the very nice balance.
And actually it brings out the honey and honeysuckle of the wine, and that's what you get on the finish. Well, here's to Mamariga. The last stop on my Central and Eastern European grand tour is the Black Sea coast. I'm here to meet a French compatriot, Anne-Marie Rosenberg, who came to Romania to realize her dream of making her own wine. In France, it's difficult and expensive to buy land to make wine, so Anne-Marie came to Romania to do it, something that would have been unthinkable only 20 years ago. In fact, quite a few foreigners have moved into the country looking for land and vineyards, which I think is a reflection of the country's potential. But Anne-Marie's path to success has not been easy. How did you find this place?
When I decided to come to Romania to look for a place, I planned a week here by the coast. I was on a bus and suddenly I felt something. I said to myself, that's where the winery is going to be. I fought a bit to get it, in fact I fought a lot, but eventually the sale went through and I started to get things up and running. We started making wine in dangerous conditions because the renovations were still going on. When we were almost finished, a huge storm struck, lifting half the roof off. Rain poured into the restaurant, ruining all the decor. It was a nightmare. Then a month and a half later, we were flooded. 1.5 meters of water ended up in the cellar. It's true that I can talk about it now, but it took me months and months to get over it. I just kept saying to myself, it can't be true, so close to finishing. There was mud everywhere. Overturned barrels, barrels in the courtyard, barrels in the lake next door. Even now I get emotional when I talk about it.
Anne-Marie has had her fair share of bad luck, but her determination is admirable. We're tasting the 06, her first vintage, and the 07 to see the evolution.
This is my first vintage and it's made 100% from my grapes. It's also the wine that I made without a proper cellar.
Well, you can really taste the oak in this wine.
And now we're going to try the 2007, which will be bottled in a couple of months.
So I guess that by this point you probably knew your grapes a little bit better and the vines were a bit more mature.
Well, I do know my grapes better and now I know how they'll behave, so it's a different situation.
In fact, these are two completely different wines. In the 06, you could really taste the oak, but in the 07, the fruit is far more prominent. There's a lot more concentration and the oak is far more balanced, which I think is really interesting. You can really taste acacia and white peach notes, and it fills the palate. So what is your vision for your wines?
For me, it's back to basics. You start with the grape. Each year you'll get a different wine because the grapes will be different. After that, what's important to me is using traditional methods. All the chemicals that change the chemical composition of the wine don't interest me. We do a lot of work by hand and we work a lot with oak.
It seems to me that you're heading in the right direction. Thanks. So good luck for the future and the next harvest.
We'll have to wait and see, but I'm certainly not lacking in determination.
I know, I've noticed. Communism did damage the quality of the wine here, but never took away the passion for drinking it. And I think it's this passion ingrained in the culture that will push Romanian wines onto great things. Well, I'm at the end of my journey at the Black Sea. Rural Romania to me was fantastic. It was like stepping back in time, and the people are so lively, definitely Latins. On the wine front, I adore tasting the Vinus Petishka Negra, a gorgeous, luminous, peppery drop worth tracking down. If you want to know more about anything featured in the program or you're planning your own wine journey, then log on to our website.